traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I'm going to welcome you all back. So it's that time. It's that time of the morning we get through this morning analysis, and we're going to start off with the euro dollar. So let's go there first. All right. So like I said yesterday, selling the extremes or trading the extremes rather. Um, was the way I believe to trade the euro. And just like yesterday, we wanted to sell a move to 111. I did that, like I said, overnight. I'm already out. Got short at 111.10. Closed it out this morning at 110.39. And so I played the euro dollar to the short side up here already. I'm already in and out. I think that trade is still valid. I believe as we get closer to this weekend, there's going to be, obviously some mixed feelings, whether you're talking about the euro dollar or whether you're talking about Greece staying in or leaving the eurozone. I think this is a very important week for negotiations. The market's obviously, assuming the best, because that's what the markets typically do, is they'll assume the best. And I don't think a Grexit, if you will, is really priced into the markets right now because no one really believes it's going to happen. I mean, I don't believe it's going to happen. I believe the negotiations it's getting a little dicey, but I still think that the whole Grexit scenario is still a little far-fetched at this point. However, this is an important weekend, and so you're going to start to see a lot of position adjustments ahead of the weekend. Starting today. So whether it's today or tonight, you're probably going to see people, some whipping around in the euro. So with that being said, I think you play these extremes again. And, technically, okay, let's take this blue line that we had here. It probably looks more like that now, okay? Again, the thing about trend lines is you have to redraw them, and I tend to redraw them quite a bit because I may have been looking at the market one way, and based on the price action of the market, it may have been slightly a slight variation. Like I had the trend line from yesterday drawn like this. I said, hey, if we get down, get back to 110 or so, it's going to be a good short, and you can see we spiked above it. So now we can take that trend line and we can readjust it a little bit, just a little bit, and I'm going to make the assumption that the market's looking at probably something closer to that. So now, if you think about it, you think about like the price action overnight. Think about all the people that got long the euro dollar at 111. They're like, it's breaking out. I'm getting long 111, 111.10. Now they're pissed. Excuse my language. They're all like, God dang it! I got stuck in the stupid euro dollar. I got long, thinking it was going to break out, and didn't. Came down on me. Now what do I do? Well, now any rally back to 111, you have to imagine there's going to be sellers waiting. All these people that bought, they're waiting. There's these people that are bought, they're going to be happy if they get out. They can get out back at 111. If they can just take a scratch on this trade, they're going to be happy. So you have to imagine there's now sellers, because you can see how the spike above there, it trapped a lot of people. Trapped a lot of people on the long side. So now if we get back to 111, 111.10, 111.15, that's probably going to be a good selling area. Go a good short. That's going to be a good resistance, I guess, what I'm trying to say. So 111, I'm just going to call it 111.15. Around there, it's going to be some resistance. We are still in a range, okay? So let's take a look at where support is. Support. Well, let's figure out if we stopped at a fib level here. Low to high, your 50% retracement, that came in at 110.20. Okay, so I'm assuming intraday support's 110.20. If we can break through that, 110 is probably going to be better support. That's a 618 retracement. Now we only have weekly unemployment claims today, I think. Let me double check that. Brainerd speaking a little bit later. She's where is she talking at? She's talking a bipartisan policy center, passage of the Dodd-Frank Act in Washington. Probably nothing too important. Uh, Canada's got housing data, National House Price Index, and housing starts, but no real big economic data. I think, like I said, you're probably going to see a lot of stabilization ahead of this weekend, and probably a little bit of position adjustments, if you will. So I don't know. I wouldn't think a we might get a move in the euro dollar back down towards 110, but probably any move down towards 110 is going to be pretty well supported. So I'll write down 110, 110.20. Not huge supports, but probably playable ones today. Especially if we can get down to 110. You get down to 110, that's probably not a bad place to be on the long side. All right, let's talk about the cable. So where's the pound going? We're trading at 154 right now. A little bit of volatility down here, and the pound really is, the good news is if you're long the cable, which I'm not. Actually, like I said, I'm short some pound New Zealand here. Um, if you're long some cable, we're holding up relatively well. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all this stuff. I think we need to redraw some things. Let's get rid of that 200 period moving average. Drawing, remove lines. Okay, because every once in a while it gets so messy where um, it makes more sense to actually start drawing some of this stuff. If you guys want to be on the long side of the cable down here, might not be a bad place to play it on the long side, as long as that support holds. Um, it looks like we spiked down there yesterday, and that support's probably going to hold, at least for now. I don't know if the cable. I'm I'm not 100% convinced the cable is done um, being sold, because you look at this daily chart. I mean, that was a pretty aggressive move down from 159 to 154. Um, if we give that up, we're gonna you guys that do harmonics, all right, tell me what this will look like. This is probably going to set up some decent harmonic pattern, you know, um, to be a nice long over the course of the next couple of weeks. In the event that that happens, I'm. But as far as the next couple of days go, as long as you're supported here, I don't think it's too it's a bad place to be on the long side. Just be really careful if you take out those lows, because this is also a 786 retracement, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So that comes in at 153 and a quarter. So as long as you're playing on the long side with that number in in mind, then that's a key support. As long as that support doesn't get breached. That support gets breached, and then you're going to have all sorts of problems if you're long the cable. Now, of course, I wouldn't mind if that happened, because, well, I'm short the pound New Zealand. So if that breaks, I'll be probably happy. And I'm short the pound yen too. So um, I'm not going to complain if we break through that. I'm just saying that that is going to be critical. Now, where's resistance? Where does the downside pressure get really taken off the cable? I mean, if you're long, you can probably breathe easier if we can get above 154. Let's just call it 154 and a quarter. Okay. 154.25. And let's just make the assumption that we break through there. If that's the case, it's hard to. So 154 and a quarter is a 618 of, that was the last spike high. It's a tough call. Well, let's deal with it if we can get there. I think I think the key is can we break above 154 and a quarter? That's going to be key. All right, we get above there. If we do it while I'm here this morning, maybe we do it later today, um, while I'm on lunch money, and we can go review the charts and kind of see where we're at. But I think that this is your playground for now. We are, you know, we're okay. I'm going to keep it at range. Yesterday I had it bearish because we'd have had such a steep sell-off. Looks like we're stabilizing. I mean, if you look at, here's the daily chart. Obviously we're kind of in a range environment. Thing is if we crack through this 153 and a quarter, I'm going to have to put it back into a bearish trend. I think this is pretty key support though. As long as that's above there, we'll stay in a range. But if we break below that, this is going directly to bearish, and it's probably going to be bearish for a while. So, all right, let's go over to the Swishy. So the Swissy, damn thing is so freaking strong, and it's ticking me off that I'm not long, but that's okay. Got to get past Greece. I keep telling myself it's okay. You know what's going to happen is the stupid Swissy is going to be trading at 99 cents, and I'm going to say, all right, now it's time for me to get long, and then I'm going to get my ass handed to me by doing that. But as you know, I'm staying away from the Kiwi. I'm staying away from the Swissy because I'm just not too sure about Greece. I mean, as much as I'd like to, as much as I'm, as much as I, as much as I have said today that I believe cooler heads will prevail as far as Greece goes, I still have a hard time betting on that fact, betting on that idea, knowing that the Greek government, the current leadership, Syriza, has put Greece in such a horrible position over the course of the last couple of weeks. To me, it's like a kamikaze type of government. I think cooler heads will prevail. I'm hopeful that cooler heads will prevail, but they have done some pretty stupid things over the last 2 weeks. Enough for me to not be very confident, not 100% confident in their ability. So that's why I'm not trading the dollar Swiss to the long side right now. And I feel technically I should be, but I think the risks are too high at this moment. Anyway, okay. So the dollar Swiss, as we talked about yesterday, a move above 95, I guess that's 95.40, right? A move above 95.40 would be very bullish. This is range. Stupid things about ready to turn bullish. Support. Let's see. Uh, huh. Mm, this is a tough play. I mean, all we're doing is we're just winding up right now, winding up rather tight. Um, by the time we get there, it'll be about 94.30. I think if you want to play it to the long side, and here's the thing, I won't do it, not ahead of this weekend. But if you get some sort of spike down here intraday, you know, like 94, the 94.30 level, maybe play back to the long side. If you would just want to do it intraday, it's scary. Obviously, if things don't work out in Greece, then this thing's gonna this thing's gonna trade back to 92 cents, back to 90 cents, 88 cents. Who knows? All right, dollar yen. Okay, so here's your dollar yen. So dollar yen had a nice bounce back. I have added to my shorts all through about the 121.10 level to 121.25 last night. My cost average on my dollar yen is now at 122.05. Now remember, I've been short since 124, since up here, but I've been adding to it as we've been moving lower. Okay. Now, if you go over to the daily chart, the one thing I want to point out here is we have now broken below this yellow trend line. We broke below it, and as long as we stay below 122, I have my cost average right where I want it now. My cost average is 122.05. As long as we stay below 122, I will stay out on the short side of the dollar yen, at least on a sustained basis. Okay, 122 is huge, huge resistance, and if we get up there today, if we get up to the 122 level today, you guys know what you're hearing, right? You'll be hearing the Greek gods. Them Greek gods be singing to you. They'll sound just like this. Oh, thank you for getting up back up to 122. Dollar yen looks like a good short from here. Yes, my Greek Orthodox version of Forex trading church. All right, so if the dollar yen gets to 122, take it as a gift. Like, oh my God, it got to 122. I'm going to be on the short side. All right. The 122 level, though, the question is, will we even make it up there? That's the real question. Right now, let me remove this. Not that. Okay, maybe I will remove that. That's 786. That's hold. Okay, so this is a really key support. 20, 20, 33. But I don't know if we're going to make it down there today. Let's remove that. Let's get rid of this. I'm trying to remove some of this stuff. 122. Okay. Okay. If we take this last move lower, okay, hello. Okay, there we go. If we take this last move lower, maybe it's from this spike high, maybe that last spike there. See, 38% retracement comes in at 121.66. 50% retracement is 122 and change. Today, well, I think if we can get back to 122, you just have to take it as an opportunity. Like, wow, so glad it got up there. Support, because you got to imagine there's people that were shorting into this weakness. They're like, oh my God, it's going down forever, and I'm just going to get short right here. Believe me, there are traders that were getting short right here yesterday. They're going to be happy if they can get out anywhere close to 121. So a dip below 121 is probably going to be very well supported now. So 2190 or 2090, excuse me, 120.90. Ultimately, I think it's going lower, but because we're below this 122 level, we have now shifted from a range environment. I believe we're going into more of a bearish trend, but we're still in a bigger range, but I think the bearish trend is starting to, show its true colors now. Okay, let's go into the Canadian. So the Canadians pull back a little bit, and which is fine. I'm long from 124.80. And I'm actually wouldn't mind adding to the dollar Canadian. The question is where, because the dollar Canadian is seeing a little bit of selling pressure as crude oil is bouncing. Okay, now you can see we broke this uptrend line, and we're approaching yesterday's support that comes in at 126.75. Now, If we can make it through 126.75, we should be able to get down to 126, whoops, 126.35. This might be a good area to be on the long side, actually. 126.30. So I'm going to write down both. 126.30, 1.2630. I might actually add down there 1.2675. As you guys know, I believe the dollar Canadian is going a lot higher than where it currently sits. So I'm looking for little dips like this to get long more. I wouldn't mind adding the dollar Canadian. So if I can get, down here at 126.30, that might be a good place to be on the long side, or for me to add. And if you're not long, then maybe on, for you to be on the long side. George says, thank the Greek gods that you don't depend on singing for income. That's right. Did I tell you guys did I tell you a couple weeks ago I went to karaoke with which I hadn't been to a karaoke bar since I was in Korea, like, 7 years ago, or so. It's the last time I went to a karaoke bar the other night. But the people I went with are these ridiculous things. Like, okay, so a friend of ours, he's a coach of my son's baseball team. He was singing a Pearl Jam song. He's my age. He's in his mid 40s. He's really good. And his wife, she is actually trying out for The Voice. I know if you're not American, you may not know this, but there's a TV show called The Voice. It's a singing, it's like one of those, you go sing in front of, panel of judges or whatever, and then, it's on national TV around here. She has her tryouts on July 25th in Los Angeles. She's in her mid 40s too, but man, this woman can sing. Anyway, I was thinking if they karaoke the Greek gods song, I'd do it, but unfortunately that's not on the playlist. It's just not. No one wants to hear that garbage. No way. David said, my good friend Kat Perkins was on The Voice and was a finalist. That's so cool. That's so cool. That's awesome. Uh, let's see.
Hey Blake. Blake.
Yes, yes.
I bet they have Everything Is Awesome.
Yes, they might have Everything Is Awesome. This is true. Everything is awesome. Oh yeah, that I can't hit those high pitches. Anyway, all right. Well, thanks, Skip. Good morning, by the way. Let's make sure we finish up with this Canadian here. So we got the support. Resistance for the Canuck is going to be right through here. Right here. 127.45. So any move up there should be capped. 127.45. 1.2745 should be resistance. We're in bullish, but we're pulling back a little bit. But just don't forget, we're a very bullish trend here, and we may be coming down a little bit at this moment, but this trend's very much intact at the moment. Okay. I'll be back in a few moments. When I come back, we'll do the Kiwi, the Aussie, the dollar index. I'll throw in a Swedish krona, Norwegian krona, peso, if I get a chance, or if there's anything to look at. But don't go anywhere. I'll be back in just a few minutes. Thanks, everyone. All right, traders. Oh, that's funny, John. John just sent me a picture of his cat. That's great. All right, traders. This is Blake Morrow. You were listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I want to welcome you all back. Let's go over to the Kiwi. So the Kiwi, man, this Kiwi is getting close to squeezing, and this is one of the reasons why I think the pound yen is just a decent short here, because I think that the Kiwi dollar is bearish. So let's make sure we all have that, we all understand the Kiwi dollar is bearish, but doesn't mean it's going to be bearish all the time, every day. Okay, so yesterday we drew. If the Kiwi gets back up to 67.50, it's going to be a good short. Now, a couple of people that I know traded it on the short side a few times up here at 67.50. Um, I'm concerned that it's actually going to start squeezing a little bit. Okay. Now, where is it going to bounce to is a really good question. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually delete everything. I know a lot of this stuff has been drawn for so long, but I need to delete it all because we're obviously we're getting to a point where we're going to see probably a limited recovery in the Kiwi, and I want to be able to sell that recovery. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind. All right, so here is the and I believe we can do this. Just draw it here. Let's draw it like this. Okay. So let's imagine we take out this resistance, which comes in at 67, 65. I mean, we're almost there. And then from here, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take the gap, this gap that happened a couple of weeks ago. So if we can rally back, let's say to 68.50, that's going to be a great place to be on the short side, in my opinion. So I think a squeeze is coming, but I want to be short right there. All right. Now the question is, will we be able to break above 67, 65 today? That's the key. I'm hoping so. 67, 65. Okay. I think that's a key resistance. We are in a bearish trend. Okay, but we're close to squeezing here. We're getting close to putting in a little squeeze, and then man, if it can just squeeze right up to that yellow trend line right there, I'd be all about shorting the Kiwi up there if I can get it. But you don't want to hear the Greek gods, do you? No, you don't want to hear them. Okay. You thought they were coming. I caught you. You had your finger on the speaker there for a second. You were about ready to mute me. It's okay. I got it. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Did I forget? Hold on. Where's support? Support. Okay. So where do I know that I'm wrong? Wrong in a sense where I go, well, I guess we're not going to rally and we're not going to get a squeeze. Um, Probably, below here, I think. Mm, no, probably below 67 cents. You break below 67 cents and then, you can pretty much just say, well, I guess that's not going to happen. Because I don't have a position in the Kiwi right now. But I wouldn't mind. Because if you ask me, it looks like the dollar is going to come under a little bit of pressure. It's fine, let it. But 67 cents support. Okay. And Aussie. Now the Aussie, if you guys haven't seen it already, we have an inverted head and shoulder pattern setting up here. Or at least we had one. Well, we had one yesterday. It's not as pretty as it looked yesterday, right? It's kind of never. All right. Well, anyway, what's crazy about this Aussie dollar is even on that really good jobs report last night, that employment report out of Australia, still didn't do much. Technically, it didn't do much to the Aussie. That's scary to me. I think the scariest thing about that is that we didn't rally significantly off of that news. We had big, huge bounce in Chinese stocks. We had, inflation in China ticked a little higher, which is, which, I guess wasn't really a factor. I guess if Chinese inflation was too hot, that'd have been a problem. But it wasn't, because then the PBOC can't um, be as active in the markets if inflation is running too hot. But why didn't the Aussie give us a real big bounce? That scares me a bit. It really does. I think that's concerning. If you're long the Australian dollar, that's pretty concerning. Um, anyway, we're gonna have to just mark this resistance overnight um, as key. But I think any move back up to this 76 cents would be a great short. It's questionable if we'll even make it up there. So, so support is here, somewhere around here, which will be, let's just call it 74 cents. Resistance is at 74.85, and I mean it's bearish. 74. We could squeeze, but I think its squeeze will be fairly limited. 74.85. Okay. Hold on really quick. I need to pull up the dollar index. I had to restart my computer earlier this morning. Okay, so here's the dollar. Dollar. I mean, we're hugging this trend line here. You can see it right through here. So it tells you how important the whatever the lows are here. 87. The low today is 97. The low over here is 87, 87. So 95, let's just call it 95.90, key support for the dollar. We break that. Okay. If we break that, probably going to see the dollar go back into the lower end of its range. Resistance right now is going to be 97, 97.20. And we're in a range. All right, let me just take a real quick look at the peso, see if there's anything sticking out like a sore thumb here. Oh, huh. Hold up for a second. Um, be careful here with the peso. Peso is not looking so healthy. Big rejections up here at this 1580 whatever, and like I said, it's not looking super healthy at the moment with this peso. Hmm. Keep an eye on the peso. I don't think there's anything. I mean, obviously, if we break above the highs, then that's one thing. But I don't think that's even a risk at the moment. But keep your eye on the peso, because if it's showing a lot of weakness here, then it's um, you know definitely not going to be definitely not good for dollar bulls if it's showing some divergence from the rest of the dollar group. Here's the Norwegian krona. Norwegian krona just kind of hanging out. Swedish krona. Well, this right here tells you where key resistance is moving forward for the Swedish krona, just in case we do see some sort of badass dollar rally. Then we break above 860, then that's going to get my attention. Nothing right now, though. I don't think there's a whole lot to do here. All right, so here's your bias chart, and so go ahead and take a picture of it, and let me go back into your questions. All right, so